Hi, my name is Sarah, and I'm going to show you how I do skin retouching. This is the photo we'll be working with, the after, and this is what it looked like before I did my retouching. I'd like to thank Kara for letting me show her face to the world. Okay, I'm going to delete my after layer because we don't really need to see that right now. So I use a technique called frequency separation, and to do that, you need to make 2 duplicate layers of the background. And we're going to rename the first layer to color, the other one to texture. And basically we're isolating the color on one layer and the texture on the other. So on your color layer, you want to go to Filter, Blur, Gaussian Blur. And you basically want to just increase the radius until you can see the colors kind of blending together. 25 works well for this one. Hit OK. And now you want to go to your texture layer. Go to Image, Apply Image, and for your layer, select your color layer, because basically we're just adding the texture back. Set your blending mode to subtract, scale to offset 128, and hit OK. Select your blending mode, set it to linear light, and that is what that looks like after adding all the extra texture back in. So I like to start with my color layer, and for this I use the clone stamp. Opacity and flow set anywhere between 30 and 50%. And I usually like to start underneath the eyes. I feel like that makes the biggest difference. So you just want to clone color from the higher point of the cheekbone, which is usually brighter, and bring it up underneath the eyes. So I'm going to do that on both sides. And I also like to make just a duplicate of the background layer to just turn on and off as I'm doing everything. You can group the layers and just turn that group on and off, but this just works better for me. You can lighten on the side of the nose. A lot of times people can get dark shadows there. And then on the bottom of the nose, a lot of people have redness, discoloration, and again, shadows. So we're basically just smoothing out the skin tone, evening it out, just general brightening, and reducing redness. Okay, so that's already made a drastic difference. I'm now going to move on to my texture layer, and for this I use the patch tool. And you just want to start finding the blemishes, selecting them, and dragging them to a clean piece of skin. I usually drag horizontally. I feel like it matches the skin texture the most accurately. Once again, thank you, Kara, for letting me zoom in on your face. Here I'm starting to remove some of the fine lines from her forehead. So here we still have some redness left over from that area, so I'm going back to my color layer and cloning over it to reduce that redness a bit. Back to the texture layer, again working on some of those fine lines. Getting rid of some stray eyebrows. I can just clean it up a bit. Flyaway hairs on the face, I absolutely hate. So again, using the patch tool, just select it. You can just do part at a time to make sure you have the most control over it. I just use my trackpad on my MacBook for everything. I don't use a tablet, I don't use a mouse. So that's why my circles are not quite so circular. Again, just continuing to remove any little spots or blemishes. Fine lines around the mouth are something that I pretty much always get rid of. I hate mine, and I hate looking at them on other people's pictures. Creases under the mouth also. So at the moment, our before and our after. I like to get rid of these lines that kind of separate the under eye circles from the higher points of their cheekbones and sides of their nose, just to give a smoother transition between those parts of the face. And here I thought I'd try to use the patch tool to get rid of a few of those creases under her eye, but I decided instead I'll wait and use the clone stamp for that in a little bit. I hate when that happens. I'm really bad at circling things. Before and after. Now I'm going to go in with my clone stamp on the texture layer just to smooth out any texture that is unwanted, such as underneath the eyes, just to kind of soften those lines. A bit on the forehead. Sides of the nose. Whoops, got some hair. Don't want to do that. And before and after. That was kind of bothering me, so I decided to fix that too. Just doing a little bit more of the color smoothing around top of her nose and her eyebrows. Okay, now we're going to start with dodging and burning. To do that, you want to make a new layer, set it to soft light, and fill with 50% gray. So you want 2 of those layers, one named dodge, the other named burn. On these, I just used the dodge tool and the burn tool, set to midtones at 12% exposure for each. You can paint with white and paint with black. You can use curved layers for this. There are a lot of different ways to do dodging and burning. So I usually start out around the eyes, the whites of the eyes, lightening the iris, the inner corner of the eyes underneath the brow bone. Things that a girl would normally do with makeup, brightening the inner corners and under the brow bone. Now brightening under the eyes a bit. We removed most of the discoloration, but now we're just brightening a bit more down the center of the nose. Then I like to go just straight down the center of the face and a little bit on each side, leaving the very edges of the face a little bit darker. A little bit on the hair, a little bit on the neck, a little bit on the lips as well. Now we're going to move to our burn layer. And again, start with the eyes, darken a little bit around the iris and on the pupils. So I have this little eyelash that is driving me completely insane, so I'm going to get rid of that also on the texture layer using the patch tool. All better. Back to the burn layer. Darkening the eyebrows a little bit, especially on the inner parts. They tend to be a little bit lighter. If you darken the outer corner of the eye, it can make it look like the eye is lifted a bit. So if you have someone who maybe has an eye that squints a little bit more, or just looks a little droopy, I guess, if you darken that outer corner, it'll make it look a little bit more lifted. Cheekbones are my favorite. I love adding definition to cheekbones. And now just all around the tops of the forehead, underneath the jawline, to make the face appear a little bit slimmer and more defined. I'm darkening the eyeliner a little bit and mascara. Before and after. So I think I did a little bit too much burning above the eye, and I'm actually going to be adding some yellow eyeshadow, so I don't want too much going on, so I'm just going to erase a little bit of that. But I still left it on the corner. So I'm going to do a new layer set to soft light, which is a black paintbrush set to, you know, it can be pretty high. And I'm going to fill in the gaps of the eyeliner so you don't see those little spots of white. Just tracing the line for eyeliner, going in a little bit more on those lighter spots. You can clean it up using the eraser to get a more precise line. Now we're going to do one more layer, just set to normal. Again, and go in just to those little spots. Okay, that's a little bit drastic, so I'm going to reduce the opacity of the soft light layer. Now we're going to add some yellow eyeshadow. Set your layer to color. I'm going to take a yellow color to match the shirt that she's wearing and her earrings. I'm going to apply that just to the lid of her eye. Below the crease, we'll be cleaning up whatever goes above the crease once we're done with this. When I uploaded this to Flickr, I got a lot of compliments on how the makeup looked so great, so this was my trick. Obviously, it's awesome to have a makeup artist on hand to do things like this, but Kara and I just sort of spontaneously shot and didn't really have anything too specific in mind, and I just loved how this little bit of yellow added to the photo. So I'm erasing the yellow off the eyeliner, or the fake eyeliner. Again, erasing a little bit that went above the crease. So there's my before and my after. I hope this has been helpful to some of you, and thanks for watching.